Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor, bringing you another video on how to raise your vibration so you can live your best life. Today, let's talk about control. Control is something that we probably justify in our society. It is something that we may be doing in our life and not even really realizing our extreme need for control, and it is very commonly a trauma response. But before we do, let me just remind you that the doors are opening on 11/11, November 11th. We are opening the doors to the New Earth Construction Team community. I am so excited to welcome you into the family. Please do come over if you have any desire to manifest abundance in your life, to step into your life purpose, then this is the place to be. We will help you overcome all of those blocks, any limiting beliefs, and anything that keeps you from stepping into your purpose and manifesting abundance, because we are the shift and you are a necessary part of the New Earth Construction Team. So make sure you come and join us over there. Either DM me, drop a note below, or send me an email that's listed in the About section. All right, so control. Control is a tricky beast, let me tell you. There were many years where apparently I was controlling and did not realize it. Now, as a codependent for many, many years, there is a victim mentality that comes along with that, where we feel that I'm a really good person, I do nice things, I bend over backwards for people. What is happening? Why are they not good to me? Why am I not rewarded for my good behavior, if you will? And in that is hidden our control, our desire for control that sometimes we can overgive, through a desire to control. And especially as a parent, that over control or controlling behavior is justified through parenting. Then if you add to that you're a business person, you live in the corporate environment or work in the corporate environment, and every day they want you to have everything under control, right? Our society is very much encouraging of having things under control, when in actuality, control causes more problems than it's worth. That the true path is surrender. And so control can hurt us in many, many ways. So we're going to dig into why do we control things or try to control things? What are some of the characteristics that we need to look out for? And then how do we heal our habit of control? So essentially, we try to control things because we fear what will happen if we don't. And control is very much rooted in a place of fear. We have an attachment to the outcome, and so that will cause pain. And we are, in some cases, assuming that we know what's best and not allowing God, Source, Divine, Creator, Universe to do its job or to put us on the right path. And so even through clinging to or having attachment to things that we are asked to let go of is a form of control. Chronic trauma, whether it's complex trauma or acute trauma, is very closely associated with this overwhelming desire to control your surroundings. Now, if you've been through any type of trauma, you will know that that feeling of being out of control will drive you to swing the pendulum to the far extreme, where you have a strong desire to keep everything under control. In those moments of feeling out of control or feeling a lack of control or feeling incapable of escaping this situation or this trauma that's being perpetuated in your life, it can leave you feeling helpless. And so when we escape that situation, we have a tendency to swing to the other side and want to keep everything as under control as possible. It's a form of hyper-vigilance. You can sort of imagine yourself white-knuckling the steering wheel of life. Right? Controlling behavior is a hallmark of codependency as well. And it's very subtle in codependency. It's hard to spot. It's hard to catch. But very often the codependent behavior can be somewhat manipulative in an effort to try to stay safe, to not feel any more pain, to keep things under control. So it is not quite as subversive as the control of, say, a narcissist, but it is still present and prevalent. Our need for control and to point to wounding, it can point to wounding that is asking us to heal it. It can also point to limiting beliefs where we need reprogramming. So look at where you are controlling. It feels like such a dirty word, but it really isn't. It is an effort to survive. It is a survival mechanism. It is a trauma response. And so we don't want to um, feel bad or guilty about this. We don't want to allow the brain to disassociate and cause us to not pay attention or to click off the video, but rather notice that when the brain wants to look away, that that's actually an indication there's something to see here. And so in those areas where we have an extreme desire for control, we can see that as the gift that is helping us to see where we are wounded, where we need healing, and where there are likely limiting beliefs that need reprogramming. If we feel powerless, that is one of the most common feelings that we experience in complex trauma, or really in any trauma. And that again is, like I mentioned, the cause of the desire for control, to keep everything under control, means that you are going to prevent pain. And so that's part of the reason we're driven towards control. Our responses, once we are out of a situation, like I said, can become extreme. And even just being an extreme person can also be a trauma response. All or nothing thinking, black or white. I have this new hobby. I'm going to go buy all the stuff. I'm going to do it every day for a week until I'm completely burnt out on it and I don't want anything to do with it at all, right? So you can see how we have a tendency to swing the pendulum from one end of the extreme to the other. Some lose extreme amounts of weight to stay in control. Others will control every aspect of, say, their kids' lives, their husband's lives, their wives' life, their family life, their business, depending on their position. So it is prevalent in every area of life. And this is, again, an effort to feel safe. We're trying to create a safe environment where we can anticipate outcomes. Being able to predict the outcome equals safety to the brain. The unknown, the uncertain, is deemed dangerous by the brain. And this is where we have a problem, is because it is the unknown, it is the uncertain, it is the void, the abyss, the darkness of dark matter that is the source of creation. This is where everything is started, and this is where it all begins. And yet if the brain is so hyper vigilant and trying to keep everything under control, it will keep us from ever getting to that place where we are white knuckling life. We are grasping onto situations, relationships, beliefs that have passed their expiration, that it has been time to let go of them for a long time, and we've chosen to ignore that. And so nature pours a vacuum if you don't empty out that space, if you don't let go of even sometimes the physical things. The physical clutter, as within so without, is a direct correlation to the internal clutter. So as you hold on to these traumas, as you refuse to, if you refuse to acknowledge I have controlling tendencies, if you refuse to acknowledge I have beliefs, I have old traumas that are still in me that I'm not letting go of, then you are not allowing the space, creating the space when nature pours the vacuum that would be filled with something even better. Predictability equals safety. So let's say the unknown is the enemy. That is the belief of the trauma brain. But the opposite is true, that it is the uncertainty, it is the new beginning, it is the surrender into nothingness, it is the allowing of the unknown and the trusting in the divine plan for what is empty and unknown and uncertain at this time that will allow you to progress into new and better and greater things. All right, so here's some characteristics to look out for. Number one, extreme discomfort or panic in the face of ambiguity, change, or uncertainty. We can have very rigid beliefs, very rigid boundaries, very little wiggle room for flexibility or agility. In fact, we are unable, number three, unable to be flexible, agile, or adapt to changing plans. If you notice you kind of have that freak out when something changes, then you have extreme levels of control operating in the background. Number four is extremely private, where you're not comfortable sharing the details of your life for fear of it being used against you. Number five, yes, not sharing much detail. Number six, avoidant in relationships and difficulty getting to know others. You're protecting yourself so much that you won't let people through. Your walls are so thick that you are too afraid of sharing maybe a past mistake or something that makes you feel vulnerable. Number seven is catastrophizing, which catastrophizing essentially means that, somebody cuts you off, therefore you're a horrible person and you deserve to die, right? It goes from just the entry level experience of some sort of circumstance all the way down to the worst possible scenario, right? So you have created the catastrophe in your mind that does not exist, right? So it's anticipating the worst. And the mind's doing this because it wants to prepare, it wants to anticipate, it wants to be ready if the worst case scenario is created. Well, the problem is our minds are creating, and so we're catastrophizing, we're creating the worst case scenario in our mind in an effort to prepare, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. We then end up creating that very situation that we are afraid of. Number 8 is difficulty trusting others or situation outcomes. So difficulty trusting others is pretty clear. If you are often mistrusting, if you very rarely trust, that is not common, that is not healthy, that's a maladaptive trauma response. But also situations. If something falls through, if plans cancel, if the car breaks down, if the kitchen floor floods, and you happen to get a brand new kitchen out of it, right? But you were so worried about, I'll never be able to cook again, I'll never be able to, right? We catastrophize, we go to the worst possible case scenario, when instead, and likely we even create more problems trying to solve the problem ourselves than if we had just taken a step back and trusted the situation would resolve itself, and then the insurance company ends up paying for your brand new kitchen. And yes, that is for someone specific. Congratulations, you made it into the video. Number 9, polarized thinking, all or nothing thinking. An example would be you're deathly loyal to a friend, and then they say something, and all of a sudden they are your worst enemy, right? So it's that polarity again, the extremes, the catastrophizing. The friend is either your best lifelong loyal friend or your worst enemy, and they can go from one to the other in a split second as soon as they make a mistake, which again is maladaptive and not healthy. Number 10, abandoning relationships at the first sign of conflict. Number 11, unrealistic expectations in an effort again to predict outcomes. Number 12, risk averse. Not being willing to take a risk. There are calculated, healthy risks that are necessary in life to experience new and different and evolutionary experiences. We will not experience those things if we are so risk averse that we are in perpetual hermit mode, perpetual healing mode, if we only stay where the trauma brain tells us it is safe, underneath that glass ceiling. And number 13, an irrational fear of abandonment, to the point where you will not even start new relationships. You will not risk having a difficult conversation with a loved one. You will not do anything that potentially, even if it's a far-fetched potential, could hurt you or cause abandonment. You would rather avoid the situation altogether, avoid the relationship altogether, and stay alone for the sake of the familiar being safe versus the unknown being unpredictable, right? And so then how do we heal? This is beautiful. 7 steps to healing. How do we heal over-controlling behavior? And to some extent, right, there's always going to be the healthy balance that we're looking for. We don't want to be too controlling. We don't want to be too lackadaisical. But healing happens in the balance, in the middle, right? So number 1 is examine what drives your need for control. Look for the area where you are most controlling. There's some key areas like health and finance and relationships and love and business. Where are you most controlling? And then dig into the why. Ask the why 5 times. Why do you feel the need to control your spouse? Why do you feel the need to control your coworkers? Why do you feel the need to over-control your diet? Things of that nature. And with each answer, ask why again until you get down to that 5th or sometimes even 7th why, until you feel like you have reached the bottom of what truly drives that controlling behavior. Number 2 is recognize where you are controlling and make a commitment to stopping. So that's where we have to be honest with ourselves. It requires a high level of self-honesty to say, I recognize I'm doing this. I recognize this is a maladaptive trauma response. It is not healthy for me to be over-controlling. In fact, if you are excessively controlling of others, it is unhealthy for them. So there's someone who is likely paying the price for this behavior. And so we have to be really honest with ourselves and say, I don't want to do that to my loved one anymore. I don't want to do that to my relationships anymore. I don't want to do that to myself anymore. So I'm willing to take that step back and say no more. And I'm making a commitment to stopping, however long that takes, knowing that this is not going to be an overnight process. We just really have to focus on healing ourselves. And I always say this gently, but it is necessary and it has to be said. We have to mind our own business. It is not our job to worry about everybody else. It is not our job to keep everybody else under control. It is not our job to make sure everybody else is happy or to fix how they feel, regardless of how they're feeling. Our only job is to take care of ourselves. We have to mind our own business. Number 3 is trust. Trust, surrender, faith, they're all one and the same. We must be willing to allow what is. Surrender to the divine plan, surrender to your source creator's evolution of what has been created and where this is going and how others are going to evolve and grow by the path that they chose. It is their path. They chose that path. It is not our job to save people unless they come to us or are willing to raise their hand and say, I would like help, right? Surrender accomplishments. Okay, we don't have to have put one more tick under our belt, right? To have accomplished something. If we are constantly feeling like we have to accomplish control over a situation, a thing, a person, it is not a reward. We don't get bonus points or brownie points for that. That's actually a detriment, not an accomplishment, right? We have to learn to love what is and not try to fix or change it. I absolutely love Brene Brown doing the work, loving what is. She's amazing. Highly recommend that book if that's something that you think that would resonate for you in this situation. Just remember, it's not about inaction, but rather taking action from a place of surrender energy. Let me say that again. It's not about inaction. This is not about perpetual hermit mode or crawling into a hole or shying away from the world. It's about taking action from a surrendered energy, trusting that what happens will happen for the good of all concerned, that God, Source, Divine, Creator, Universe is in control, is in charge, that everything is happening as it should. All is one. We are all a reflection of the divine. It's all perfect, just the way it is. And no matter how much control you feel you need or you exert, the only outcome will be more trials and challenges. Surrendering control makes life easier. Hyper-vigilance or control makes life harder. Recognize that you are safe now. You are safe now. It is safe to receive. It is safe to trust. It is safe to let go. It is safe to let go of control. You are no longer in a situation that is causing that feeling of unsafety. Now, that is, of course, provided you have exited the situation. I'm speaking more so to people who are no longer on the battlefield. If you are still in the battlefield, yes, get out of there. And then watch this video. Number 5 is rename your trauma brain. So some people call it the inner critic. I like to call it the little trauma demon that sits on my shoulder, the one that says it's not safe. You shouldn't do that. You don't go there. Don't talk to those people. Those people are talking about you. You're going to get hurt, right? This little chatter, it's the hamster in the hamster wheel that never stops. You can never win by reasoning with it. It will never go away until you heal the trauma. But the first step in healing that trauma, the first step in separating yourself from this trauma brain is give it a name. Give it a personality, right? Is it Sally? Is it Bob? Is it Satan? Not today, Satan, right? That's one of my favorite sayings. And then use cognitive behavioral therapy. Number 6 is cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy is pretty simple. It's essentially observe your thoughts, catch the unresourceful thoughts, and replace them. So we want to challenge them, right? So that belief that it's not safe. The world isn't safe. All people are unsafe. These are very maladaptive trauma response limiting beliefs. So we want to catch those and reframe them by challenging them. Is that true? Well, this statistic tells me that 56% of the world's population is capable of healthy attachment. So that means I've got a good 50-50 chance. As long as I heal and get this trauma up and out of me and I put down the trauma responses like over control, then I have a good chance of meeting someone who's going to be good to me. And so then, of course, that leaves the question, how do we heal the trauma? and that is number 7. Healing over control, healing all trauma responses, healing trauma in general. The number 1 most effective modality out there, bar none in my opinion, and there's really only 2 that work, is brain spotting. And brain spotting is something I am a facilitator, a certified technician, as well as EMDR. They are somatic healing therapies. They work with the body. Trauma is housed in the body. That's why you can talk yourself to death all your whole life and not resolve that trauma. We have to work with the limbic brain, where that trauma is accessed, and the body where that trauma is housed, to get that up and out of your body. So if you are wanting to step into your purpose or wanting to manifest a beautiful life, if you have big, beautiful dreams and goals that you have not yet been able to achieve, then what we need to do is heal the blocks, the limiting beliefs, the trauma, the lack mentality that holds you back. All of that can be done either through brain spotting or EMDR, and that will allow you to start to shine bright, to be willing to be seen, to feel safe, into putting down control and putting your trust, faith, and surrender in the divine. Okay, so if you need help with that, let me know. That is what the New Earth Construction Team community is all about. We are absolutely so excited to welcome you. There are already many members who have added their name to the wait list, so I would love to connect with you and have you join us and get on this path together with us. You no longer have to do this alone. You absolutely are perfectly imperfect for your purpose. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You are valuable. You are worthy. Your needs deserve to be met. You deserve your dreams. Do not give up. We need you. So come join us. I would love to see you there. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Otherwise, I will see you on the next video. Namaste, my friends. Take care.